Hey guys, it's me Atom, and today we will discuss the origins of man's best friend, canines, also known as canidae. They are a part of the order Carnivora, meaning meat-eating mammals. This order split into two main branches about 42 million years ago. One, Filoforma, meaning cat-like carnivores, and number two, Caeniforma, meaning dog-like carnivores. The very first dog-like creature wasn't even a true canid yet. Instead, they were called caeniforms. Around 40 million years ago in North America, a small fox-like animal called Hesperocion appeared. It is considered one of the very first true members of the Canidae family. It looked like a long-bodied and short-legged fox and coon hybrid of sorts. It lived about 40 to 34 million years ago during the late Eocene epoch. Although it originated in North America, canids would spread to other continents as well. It was likely an omnivore, more of a generalist than a specialized predator at the time. And about 34 million years ago, canids diversified into three subfamilies. 1. Hesperocidae, the early primitive canids whom are now extinct. Number 2. Borophaginae, bone-crushing dogs, similar to hyenas, also extinct. And lastly, Caninae, which is the only surviving family and includes dogs, wolves, jackals, foxes, as well as coyotes. Also, here's a fun little idea. If you saw Hesperocion alive today, you might not even recognize it as a dog, because it looked more like a long and nimble predator halfway between a civet and a fox. So, at first sight, you would be very confused by what the hell this thing even is. So, wolves, foxes, and jackals. Around 10 million years ago, modern-style canines began to appear. Early members of the genus Canis, wolves, coyotes, jackals, evolved about 5.6 million years ago in North America. Canids spread across the world via land bridges, reaching Eurasia and Africa. This leads me to my favorite wolf, the grey wolf, Canis lupus. They are still very much alive to this very day. They are actually the largest living member of the dog family.
Your average grey wolf is 65 to 80 centimeters at the shoulder and lengthwise 1 to 1.6 meters from nose to tail.
They are the direct ancestors of all domestic dogs. Now, quick facts about the grey wolves. Historically, their range included most of North America, Europe, and Asia. Today, their range is more limited due to habitat loss as well as human persecution, unfortunately.
They live up to 6 to 8 years in the wild, and up to 15 years when in captivity and in good conditions.
But healthy populations still exist in places like Canada, Alaska, parts of Europe, Russia, Romania, and Poland, as well as some areas in Asia. They are carnivorous apex predators, mainly hunting deer, elk, moose, and other smaller mammals.
However, they can also occasionally eat carrion, and occasionally berries, if times are tough enough, or if they simply feel like it.
When it comes to their social structure, they live in family-based packs, with a dominant breeding pair, often referred to as the alpha even though it doesn't truly exist. We will get to that shortly. A male and a female, again quote-unquote alpha. Grey wolves are so genetically close to dogs, by the way, that they can still breed and produce fertile offspring, meaning that a wolf and a Labrador could biologically have puppies, as ridiculous as that sounds.
A pack of wolves is a family, not just a group of random wolves. The two quote-unquote alphas are the parents of the pack, and the others are simply generations of their kids that haven't went on to go and make their own pack yet.
Dire wolves were also a very real prehistoric canine, not just a fantasy creature from Game of Thrones. And dire wolves' other nickname was Terrible Wolf. It lived during the late Pleistocene, 125 to 9,500 years ago. 125,000 years ago. They went extinct at the end of the last ice age. However, it appears that we have brought them back. Not exactly, again, we will get to that in just a moment. Appearance-wise, the dire wolf looked very similar to modern-day grey wolves, but they were more heavily built and robust, had shorter legs, bigger heads, and a massive jaw with teeth, adapted for crushing bone. They weighed around 60 to 70 kilograms, about the size of a large modern-day wolf, but bulkier. But here's a twist. For decades, scientists thought that direwolves were just a bigger subspecies of the grey wolf. However, recent DNA studies from 2021 show that they were not closely related to grey wolves at all. They were a completely separate lineage that split about 5 to 6 million years ago. They were the last of their kind as well, with no direct descendants to this day. So, this brings us to the domestication of dogs. See, all domestic dogs descend from the grey wolf, as we just mentioned. Genetic evidence suggests that domestication began at least 15,000 to 30,000 years ago. Wolves likely simply began hanging around human camps, scavenging for food. Humans tolerated them, leading to mutual benefits. Hunting help for humans and steady meals for wolves. Over the course of generations, humans began to selectively breed friendlier wolves, eventually giving rise to dogs. Now, fun fact, all dogs and wolves can still interbreed. They are genetically very close enough to do so. The smallest wild canid is the fennec fox, and the largest is the grey wolf. Canids are amongst the most adaptable mammals on the planet. Found from the Arctic tundras to the scorching deserts, you can find a wolf almost anywhere. The first contact 30,000 to 50,000 years ago. Humans were hunter-gatherers, moving in groups, often following large game herds. If you wanted to survive, you followed the herd. And wolves were opportunistic scavengers, so they followed human camps to feed on whatever scraps remained. The boldest of the wolves would get close, but not necessarily aggressive, because if they were too aggressive, the humans would kill or drive them away. So, they were in that middle point. The least fearful and friendliest wolves began to survive around humans, and over the course of generations, this was the first step towards domestication. So, this provided mutual benefits. For wolves, it was an easy access to food without having to hunt large and dangerous prey. And for humans, it was an early warning systems. Wolves barking and howling at danger helps them track prey, and even warmth in cold climates. This created a symbiotic relationship between humans and wolves. Over time, these quote-unquote camp wolves became tamer and began breeding amongst themselves. Humans may have taken wolf pups and raised them by hand, reinforcing friendliness towards people. Friendlier behavior wasn't just about personality, it was quite literally genetic. Wolves with lower stress hormones and calmer temperaments passed those traits on, resulting in artificial selection. Eventually, humans started selectively breeding these wolves, choosing which wolves or dogs get to mate with each other, so that they could acquire their desired traits, which is friendliness towards people, good hunting skills, guarding capabilities, and trainability. The selective breeding rapidly changed their appearance: ears, coat color, tail curls, snout shape, in just a few generations. So, by 15,000 to 10,000 years ago, humans had distinct animals that were no longer truly wolves, but instead they were dogs, Canis familiaris.
And in the future, we will take a look at dogs as well. But until then, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.